worry about Cal, I stopped thinking about it and just learned to accept it. Because I have a life.
Hi everyone, Pop the Knee Quiz Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review of the new Purity Ring record, Another Eternity. Purity Ring is a Montreal synth pop duo whose debut LP that dropped a few years ago, Shrines, wasn't too bad. The singles on the LP ended up really being the best tracks in the bunch, but there were some good intentions behind the album, some kind of sweet and very light vocal melodies, some rattling trap-style hi-hats, and some moody synthetic atmospheres. But even though I did like some of the kind of vast and very glossy instrumentals on this album, it was the kind of innocent and very childlike vocals of singer Megan James that ended up feeling kind of one-dimensional. And I guess all in all, there wasn't that much instrumental variety on this album either. But it did feel like Purity Ring was on their way to honing a style and approach to synth pop. However, that doesn't seem to be the case with this new sophomore LP right here. Purity Ring's approach and sound on this album isn't so much dark or mystical as much as it just has kind of a high gloss finish to a lot of the beats on this record, resembling that of like a Church's album, except with less single power and not as impressive singing, because the kind of baby-voiced Megan James still is not really doing it for me on this record. A lot of the time she just kind of feels like a dull melodic placeholder rather than a conduit for any kind of significant amount of emotion. She definitely hits all the notes, it's just that her performance isn't really all that emotive or exciting. And she had a kind of youthful adolescence to her voice on the last record, but the instrumentals there just felt a little darker. Here, it feels like her singing is only adding to the already squeaky, clean, and sterile vibe that the beats are bringing on numerous tracks here. And sometimes the instrumentals have kind of an EDM or maybe even like an electro trap flavor to them, kind of like the song Stranger Than Earth, except there's absolutely no viscera or excitement about these instrumentals either. They're kind of flat and flaccid. With this new record, it feels like Purity Ring is making a lesser version of a pretty unmemorable and very saturated approach that a lot of artists and DJs are taking right now to electronic music and pop, rather than the alternative approach to pop that they seem to be taking with their last LP. This album is just so sugary. It's like turning me diabetic every time I try to listen through it. It's like sending me to Teletubby land, or when I put this music on, I just see this misty pink cloud rolling in, and when I breathe in deep, it's just got me choking. I guess I find the music to be kind of soft and squishy and smooth and pastel colored, but there's nothing really all that cute or endearing about it. Instead, it just kind of feels a little lifeless and maybe sort of breezy, passive. I didn't really care for this album, honestly, and I'm kind of feeling a strong to decent 4 on this thing.
Transition. If you've given this album a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Also, there's a video down there in the description talking about some of my favorite Canadian records of last year, sort of in celebration of the upcoming Canadian Juno Awards, a little music awards ceremony they got up there. And yeah, so give that a check out and hopefully get turned on to some awesome Canadian music in the process. You're the best. Anthony Fantano, Purity Ring, forever.